everyone, Therese here. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Karma Cards episode. So the message that I'm predominantly getting from the team this week has to do with energy, notice your energy, conservation of energy and how we might be leaking energy and how, focusing on getting some of that energy back. So how many people out there are feeling that dip in energy, or like suddenly it feels like you're really having to move uphill? Like it's that, when I go on these walks with my family, we go on this one sloping hill where you're going uphill, but at first you don't feel it, and it's not right till you're at the end that you really start to feel the pains of walking uphill for a while. That's the metaphor I would compare this energy to. So you have been producing a lot of energy during these shifts and upgrades that we're going through right now. And it takes a lot of personal willpower to keep going when you know that you're steadily moving up this hill, right? And we're, again, the way that the energy is moving now, it's a constant increase and plateau, and then increase and plateau. So what I feel right now is we're definitely on the incline, which is always good. It means we're moving upwards, but that means we're feeling it energetically. And as a result, your willpower might feel like it's dipping, like I can't do this anymore. I mean, think about that when you are physically exerting yourself and you have put out a lot of effort and energy, and then you get to that point where you're like, I don't know if I can keep going, right? So that's what's happening right now. So let me give you a few things about the why on an energy level we're feeling this. Number one, the Schumann resonance had a triple spike today. Right now it's at about 39, probably a little bit lower, but between yesterday and today, 3 massive spikes and a blackout. And those are always really weird to see on the Schumann resonance graph when there's this big black band. And I've heard some intuitives say that represents moving timelines, which I think is super cool. I don't know if it does, but it's a really cool idea. So 3 massive spikes. That means it's like you get these pushes of higher energy coming up through your own energy field. So there's that happening. We're in the middle of like a higher geomagnetic energy field at this time. We're sort of coming down. So yesterday was a bigger spike, but it's kind of like yesterday might have been the exerted effort, but now you're feeling it, So what we're doing right now is we're sort of coming off like a major energy push. Yes, that would absolutely give you a headache. I have a headache myself right now too, so I feel you. So there's that going on. Then let's look at the cosmic snapshot. And what I'm specifically looking for are there any like massive pain points in energy right now? And what we have are 2 strong squares happening. So when planets square each other, it creates tension in energy. Now, this tension isn't inherently a bad thing. In fact, that tension can give you sort of the push to keep climbing up in energy. But it also presents a challenge, meaning that the tension can break you down as well. So there's 2 strong squares happening right now. First, there is the sun and Saturn, right, in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. Now, interestingly enough, Uranus rules Aquarius, which is where Saturn is at. But these 2, when they get together, the tension point is to feel the need, right? You're actually feeling strong polarization with this placement. And we've actually been in this placement for a while. So events get polarized. Our issues with authority, either inner authority or outer authority, get brought to the surface. And it has this sort of effect of everybody wanting to sort of scatter and kind of, because it feels very externalized, people are pushing back and like, I don't want to deal with this right now. I just want to be by myself. And it's like, you kind of can't because we're all doing this together. So even though we're individually working on our own path, we are all ascending at the same time. We're all moving up the mountain together. So it's draining, because it's like you just don't have the energy to deal with or give to other people. And there, if there's not awareness that there's an energy drain, it's easier with this placement to sort of take it out on that it's them draining you rather than it's a draining time. So it's helpful to know that that's playing out, because the other square that's happening right now is Mercury is squaring Mars. So this again is about how we're communicating. There's a lot of with this, I just leave me alone because it's too much and I need to shut down. There is a stronger tendency to be combative. Again, this can all be used in a positive way. It's like you can take that assertion and you can be like, I will make it up this damn mountain. I will watch me make it up this mountain. That's what we can do with this strong energy. But again, if we're feeling worn out and run down and maybe a little bit trampled on, it's easy to lash out at other people and be maybe too aggressive or assertive with others, like easier to blame it on other people. So these are the energies that are happening right now that are creating this exhaustion on all the levels, right? We've got the spiritual exhaustion from climbing up energy higher and higher. We've got mental exhaustion from trying to process all these tension points and trying to get it clear within ourselves. Like, is it them or is it me? Or am I projecting onto them, or are they projecting onto me, right? So we have to do all this work, which again is exhausting. And then physically, yeah, this does have a toll. It causes insomnia for some people. It causes headaches. It causes, for me today, one of the things that happened was just, I felt weird. Like I was talking to some friends and I'm like, does it feel off to you today? Does the world feel like it's just slightly off? And they agreed that they had that same feeling. So that's all in the mix right now. And the other thing my team wanted me to point out is like, what are you adding to that creates more pressure for yourself? Because at this time we have to be ultra aware of how we need to take care of ourselves. How do you need to be nourished right now? And one of the areas they pointed out is sort of suppressing ourselves again to fit in to general population, right? And it's so divided, it's so polarized right now. And there's this energy of like, I just don't want to deal with it anymore, so I'm just going to shut my mouth, or I'm going to look the other way. That kind of energy is also very draining, because it means you're suppressing parts of yourself, and again, that can be a little bit too much on you. So the key word here is really gentleness and softening, which I find it so important. I also find it a challenge as a natural Aries, and now it's Aries season, which means everybody feels the Aries in their chart. Everybody who's got Aries, you all have Aries somewhere, so Aries is activating. And that's not typically a sign associated with gentleness. It's very direct, in our worst traits, we can be very blunt, we can be aggressive, right? It's an action-oriented energy. It wants to go, it wants to get it done, it wants what it wants right now. And it's always like eye on the prize and sort of head down, power through, right? And that's actually going to not help you at this time. So we want to look for ways that we can soften towards ourselves. And this will allow us to soften through this square energy that's happening and be softer with other people. So this is something that I'm personally working on giving myself a break. And like I said, I think it was either the last karma cards or the one before, the best phrase right now, the very best thing you can say to yourself is, I'm doing the best I can right now. I'm doing the best I can. And if the best I can do is to not talk to anyone and hold myself away for a while, then that's what you got to do. Chiron and Aries, everybody's experiencing that right now. We're all under that right now because that's where Chiron's current placement is, and it stays there for about 7 or so years. So this is about, Chiron's about healing. It's about healing what we feel like is really hard to heal. And when it's focused in Aries, it's about healing the self. So you betcha this, like my team always says, this has always been about you. This has always been about your healing journey. And again, it's very tempting to want to go save the world right now and be like, as soon as the world is saved, I'll save myself. And that's exactly backwards. You got to save yourself to help the world. With Chiron, with your Chiron placement, this is also holds some fear for us. The fear that some fear we can work through. And by working through that fear, we can heal. So if you look at Chiron in Aries, right, the fear is about, it's about self issues. It's about feelings of inadequacy in self. Comes up for a lot of people with Chiron and Aries. And it's coming up for people right now in general, because that's where the placement is. So again, the key phrase right now for getting through this spike in upward energy, which is very draining, is I'm doing the best I can. And then I like to put my hand on my heart and acknowledge what I'm feeling at this moment. If I'm feeling frustrated, even if I think it's frustration with someone else, I like to acknowledge, I hear you. It's like I put my hand on my heart and I'm like, yes, I hear you. You feel very frustrated right now. And I try to honor what I'm hearing. And then from there, once that part of me feels heard, you can almost feel it. You can feel it just like it comes down, right? It doesn't go away, but you can feel that energy calm, like, oh, good, I'm heard now. And then you can move into, what do you need right now? What would you like right now? And this is where we really have to be in that soft place, right? Because you might hear, I just need a hug. I need someone else. And it's like many times our attachment to the outside world tells us, well, I need somebody, I need them to apologize, or I need a hug from someone. And again, this is about us and learning how to heal ourselves. So we have to acknowledge, okay, well, I can't guarantee that for you, but what can I do for you? Meaning, what can I do for you? They might never apologize is something you also have to acknowledge. Let's say that's what you wanted. You'd have to acknowledge they might never give you that. So what else, what's the feeling underneath that would make you feel, healed in a way? Usually it's like acknowledgement or love. And then you can say something like, I acknowledge you. I love you. And these are, they're small steps. And they don't promise a cure. They don't promise it to be over, but you will feel, again, sort of this, you feel the grounding energy coming in, you feel the intensity of the pain come down, and that can allow you to then move on. You'll naturally, by taking the time to do that for yourself, you will naturally move in a healthier direction. You'll move into something that's more nurturing to you, rather than something that's potentially destructive. The good news is that it looks like the magnetics that are coming in are stabilizing. So it feels like perhaps, fingers crossed, perhaps we've kind of hit a new plateau. So we've moved up, but now we're gonna level out a little, and that will help us all feel more grounded and stable. We have a lot of undoing to do around some of the psychology that's been handed down to us through our social conditioning. But no, if more people felt whole inside themselves, we would have less issues in the outside world. But this is the thing. Most of us are taught to, that focusing in on yourself or focusing in on you being in a safe and nurtured space first is somehow destructive or somehow distracting, right? We're not told to focus on it as it being key to who we are. And for many of us, we don't find this out until later in life, if we're lucky, right? There are people who go on through their life refusing to give to themselves. And then they deteriorate because of that, because it's part of who you are. I love in the Law of One, they talk about service to others and service to self. They're actually together. They're on a spectrum. They connect, they loop around and touch each other. Right? So to love, to be of service to yourself is actually to be of service to others. It's what we want to do is have that consciousness of like, when do I have the energy to give, right? So it never is about deleting yourself. It's never been about deleting yourself again. And there are two primary paths, right? There's a path that is service to others, which is the higher, more positive path, because it takes everyone up together. And then there's service to self, which is a much harder, it tends to be a darker path, because you really have to go fully into only service to self. You have to truly reject everything else. It's the path of separation. But the beauty is that even the path of separation eventually brings you back to oneness. So, I mean, it's just, there's an easy road and a hard road. The easy road is where we all go together. But what they talk about is that a lot of people fall into martyrdom on the easier road, which is service to others. And they end up going service to self. They go into the path of separation because they neglect themselves. So it's very easy to think, I'm here for others. I'm here to heal people. I'm here to, heal the world. I'm here to raise the frequency. I'm here for you, and you. It's really easy to get into that. And it feels good, it feels right. But then it can also go too far, where that's all you focus on, and you start deleting yourself. You start saying, I haven't saved enough people, so I'm not worth this. Or other people suffer more than me, so my needs aren't important. It's a really slippery slope there. So, and that actually takes you into separation, because you believe you're less than. Whereas an egotistical version of service to self is, I'm the greatest thing ever and everyone's less than me. So it's really interesting how martyrdom actually takes you over into negativity. And one of the things, when I was listening to it again recently, it talked about is that the beautiful thing is that the more you polarize in one of the two directions, the easier it is to flip over, because you've gained so much momentum, energy, power, and mastery in either direction that you can easily flip poles. So someone who is predominantly focusing on themselves and raising themselves up can get to the point where they see all that is connected and flip positive, and a positive oriented being can be so hyper focused on being of service that they disconnect from themselves and flip negative. So it's always important that the balance point in between is important. And when we can remember that, yes, serving others is so important, but if I haven't served myself too, then I won't be able to serve others. So imagine this, right? You make a beautiful meal for other people, but then you don't eat. You're gonna die. If you don't eat and you keep not eating, eventually you're dead, and then you're not of service to anyone, right? Because you can't do it. So we always, we came here for us too. You came here for yourself. And especially those who have high levels of mastery, it's easy to think, I'm just here for others. I've already mastered so much stuff. Well, I don't think that's true. I don't think that you would, as a high level being, see the purpose in you being here when so many others are also here to help, if it didn't also serve you. There is a service to you in there. So again, we just have to keep, making sure that we're filling our own cup up, that we're nourishing ourselves, that we're listening and hearing our own limits and honoring those and focusing in on that healing. And then we will get that reserve back, that reserve energy that allows us to be a shining light when others could use it, right? So honor yourself too. All right, with that, I want to go into karma cards. So for those who are new to doing karma cards, let me tell you quickly how it works. I have 3 decks here: the planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I have 2 sets of answers, one in red for action and one in blue for outcome. So what you do is you just tune in intuitively and see what you need right now. Do you feel that you need some action advice, or do you feel like you want to know what the outcome of this current week's energy will be for you? The timing for this reading is today, March 24th through March 31st. So this will end March for us. And the flavor of this reading, we have the South Node. When I pulled that, I was like, because it's not always, it's it's probably a good thing, but it doesn't always feel good. And that sort of matches this energy. So I'm at peace with it. And Aries, which is where the sun currently is right now. So strong Aries energy in the 6th house, which just happens to represent service to others and health. So the focus here is definitely, see how they're tied together even in astrology? They put health, your health, and service to others in the same house because they were like, people need to get it. Like, we need to keep reminding each other that, oh yeah, these go together. Like good health and service to others, they go together. Okay. So for those who are choosing red or action, your spiritual action at this time, remember your willpower as a full-time job. Remember your willpower as a full-time job. I think this is awesome because we were talking about willpower earlier and how that is what powers us to keep climbing up in energy. Your willpower is the driving force of creation in your life. Think about this. Whenever you've really set your mind on something, I think you've got it. Either you got exactly what you wanted or you got right in the neighborhood of what you wanted, right? So that is a driving vital force energy. That is your heart power, is willpower. When the heart decides what it wants, look out, right? So remember your willpower as a full-time job. And I would say, again, because the team says this has always been about you, what is it you want, right? What is it you are creating? What is it your heart wants? Focus in on that. That actually will help to re-energize you, as well as softening and giving yourself a break. Also spend time focusing in on, no, this is what I want. This is what I'm making my life for. Mental action at this time, reconsider what you think you know about serving. I think I just covered that, okay? Reconsider what you think you know about serving. Remember, you're making a giant meal, right? You have to eat it too. If you need to eat it first to serve it to a bunch of people, do it, right? Feed yourself so that you can feed others. Understand that serving others has a limit where you can go past and it becomes negative. So stay within that beautiful range where you really can be of help, right? When you're nourished, when you're taken care of, when you feel energized and grounded, then you will be able to help other people. Otherwise, what happens is the unhealthy patterns start where we start doing it to get energy from people. And that's actually more vampiric, right? We're giving them something so they'll give us praise or validation or affirmation or attention, right? We're doing it because this is who we are. And then it becomes more of what it really starts to become about what we're getting. So we just got to be in that place where we are clear that I actually have something to give right now. It's like, imagine if your neighbor asked you for a cup of sugar, but you had no sugar in your house. You have nothing to give there, right? So you got to buy the sugar for your house first before you can share it. It makes sense in those other ways. It's just so interesting how we think about it in energy, right? Physical action at this time. Now is not the time to do it your own way and do it a little at a time. Again, with the South Node, this is not an action period. Totally not an action period. So, when I feel this placement, it is rest. So I know do it your own way and do it a little at a time. It can be taken like do it for everyone else and do it in a huge way. I think it's like a full stop actually, because we just went up a huge energetic ramp and we're all feeling it. Today feels weird. Most people agree that there's they just kind of feel flat or off. It has to do with the energetics happening, the physical energetics happening. So, they're saying for the rest of the week, taper down, pull back a little bit. Like, again, recovery period for us. All right, so now let's go into outcomes. And these are outcomes for the South Node in Aries in the 6th house of health and service. Your spiritual outcome at this time, there will not be energies to meet the challenge of service to others. Sorry. That's the first time I think I've seen that one in a while. I'll say it again. Just makes me laugh. There will not be energies to meet the challenge of service to others, right? So again, it's not an action period, they're saying. This is a recovery period. We can still hold space and give love to people as long as we're putting it here first, as long as we're checking the tank, check the cupboard, check the tank, check yourself, make sure you've got it to give before you start giving it out to people, because, you know, everybody's feeling low at this point. Everybody's feeling this low energy because it's heavy as we shift, right? It's a heavy climb and we're shifting. So imagine that you're not really paying attention. We're just going to go for a quick second down the road of what if you wouldn't pay attention to yourself? What if you didn't heed the warnings that you don't have the energy right now and you just kept giving it out to people? Well, everybody's low and you're giving it out. It's almost like everybody's low on cash and you're taking your cash and handing it out to people. People are going to keep coming in. They're like, oh, you got some. Can I need it? I need it because I'm really low too. Right? And you're going to be like, okay, here's some for you. Pretty soon, you're going to start resenting the very people you wish to help. So don't. If in that scenario, everyone's running out of cash and you have to have a reserve for yourself to survive, instead, you know, you could send them, you could take the energy, the little energy you got right now, send them prayers, send them good intentions. If you could, instead of giving them your cash, but you got a little bit of bread, give them the bread, right? Like you would adjust to the energy because you know you also have to survive. So you've got to pull the need, right? The healers, and specifically I'm talking to the healer energy group type. Pull it in a little right now, guys. Okay? Create a reserve. Respect that you're here and you're important too, and that you need to have that just to function. Because if you deplete yourself right now, you will be non-functional for a lot longer. And then we got a problem, right? Then we're dealing with long-term exhaustion, long-term overuse. We're talking about feeling spent. And you've got to build that reserve, right? You've got to focus on, I need the reserve. It means you wish well for others and you're going to be there in the capacity that feels, again, it's like feels safe for you, because it's too easy right now to just spend it too fast. Mental action mental outcome rather at this time, anxiety about your desires regarding what is good for us. So again, you're not going to like it. Okay, healers. Okay, friends, my friends, I get it. It's like, you remember an energy imprint that you hold, that you have a larger reserve in another form. You have an endless reserve in your other forms. But baby, you got to deal with the container you're standing in right now. That reserve, that lives in like the astral. It lives in other dimensional energy, right? That's where it lives. Right now, you got to deal with it. You've got to be here too, right? You came here to be here, but you've got, in order to really master this level or this game right now, you've got to, conserve energy. And that might not feel good. You might see so many people saying, help, but I don't have it. And I don't have enough right now and I'm losing it. And that's going to be hard, because unless someone directly asks you, and they put it in such a way that unless someone is directly asking you for help and you make the boundaries clear, like, look, I'm going to offer you this, but I have a limited amount of energy and I need you, if you're asking for me to support you or supply you with this, I need you to, make a deal with me that you're going to take it seriously. If you're asking this of me, this is what I need from you right now. And that doesn't always feel so good to us, to people who just want to give and want to heal. Like, we don't want to put boundaries on things, but these are not boundaries to restrict someone else. These are energetic boundaries for health, and that's really important right now. And it's good for you, and it's good for them, because if that person hears your boundaries and they're like, you know what, I can't do that, you both have an answer. You have not built up false expectation. They know where you stand, and you know where they stand, right? It creates clarity in a clear field. And those who truly want your help and healing during this time where we all have to kind of hold on to our reserves, if you set that boundary and they're like, great, I promise, I really need this support, then you can give that, and then you can know that it was energy well spent during this time, okay? All right, physical outcome at this time: trouble resulting from the honesty and strength of your work. And I mean the inner work right now. So trouble resulting from the honesty and strength of your work. You got to remember, some people will respect boundaries. Some people will get angry at you for boundaries, and they'll start projecting on you and telling you how horrible you are and what a selfish person. We've all been through this when we've tried to, cocoon for a little bit or pull ourselves in to heal. Some people get it, some people don't. It's always going to be that way, right? I wish it was different. I wish everyone had the same level of consciousness, but that's not what this game is about. This game is about choice. It's always about choice. And so this is why standing for yourself, honoring yourself, taking the fact that you're here for you first seriously. And I don't mean you first in terms of like you get everything you want and then other people. I mean you first, that you recognize that you have needs that do need to be met for you to be able to be here, right? When you do that, you're going to have strength. You're going to there's a lot of internal gifts to get. However, we are in a time period where I said a lot of people are low in energy. Those who know how to take care of themselves on an emotional and energetic and spiritual level, they'll hear this message and they will already be doing it probably, or they'll go, right, you've said it and I heard it before and I'm doing it again. Other people will hear this and they'll get angry that they have to do work, right? That they will. And you have to be okay that, the more you take care of yourself, the easier it is to recognize gaslighting, the easier it is to recognize projection. The more that you're healed, the more grounded you are, the easier it is to go, oh, they're going through some stuff right now. They're really trying to project that onto me, but I don't take it. That's yours. That's yours. No, thank you. Right? And you're going to be in that place where you're going to feel okay. I know that those who have really open hearts and wear their hearts on their sleeves, it's always hard. It's always hard to be the recipient of hate, anger, frustration, right? It sucks. It's never not gonna suck. But the more that you stand for yourself, the easier it is to kind of like brush it off afterwards. And then you can, the work that you can do is from the place of reserving your energy right now and nourishing yourself, is you can still wish compassion. I know this is hard. It's hard for me. And if you're not, and if the other person is not in that place where they're taking care of themselves with it, which if they're projecting their problems onto you, they're probably not, then what they mostly need is that energy of compassion. Like it's hard for us all. And I can see it's hard for you. They might not hear it from you and you don't have to say it to them, but do try to find that place in your heart so that your heart is, our boundaries are our wall that protects us so that our heart can stay wide open and we can give the love and compassion. Don't let the outside world try to break your heart or try to close it. It wants to, and it's trying. It's, the negative energy that still ruminates, right, is actually, when I try to see that negative energy, it used to be this really strong force, and it had a lot of pull. It is weakening all the time. Like I told you, the negative timeline, the false constructs, they're dying. They're not fully dead yet, but they're pretty weak. Okay? So the negativity that we are predominantly feeling right now is collective pain and trauma. And when more people awaken to what's going on, PTSD, like massive PTSD, which is why all healers that I'm directing this message to, you got to know that you have to deal with that in you first, because we've all experienced it. We were born into it, born into a type of nightmare. Type of nightmare is what I think. We're born into this very low energy place. And it has a long chain of abuse and trauma that goes back so far. It's freaky. And so that means ancestrally in our DNA, that trauma, the PTSD from other experiences, other generations, things that have been held in the collective consciousness for a long time is there. And so now what we're dealing with isn't so much a dark, negative force that it used to be, but really the shadow of trauma, the shadow of PTSD. And that is why you really have to make sure that you are honoring your own space and taking care of this, especially if you feel called to help others in a capacity where you're helping them heal, because the lines get very blurry, because some of the experiences that humanity has, we all share. It's not separated, right? Even though we have individual experiences, we actually have collective trauma that we share. And so we must be, working on that on an individual level within us, so that we know when we are confronted with that in another to help them, that we're going to feel it in us again. It's going to reverberate back to us, and it's going to be very difficult to know, wait, is this me or is that you? And sometimes it's both, right? Sometimes I'm still holding on to a little bit left of what I need to process. And again, why is it all dying? Why is the old timeline falling apart? It's thanks to these ramps of energy. They just keep flooding us with this, and it's intense, but it is helping us break it down. And the next level is this collective trauma. Now, there's a lot of people who have a sense of it now, and they've got their hands around it, and they're just all over the place. They're like sending out this energy that we're going to heal this. So we will do it. But we're in this period right now where the intensity is strong and the reserves need to be reinforced before we keep pushing it out there. Okay. So I hope this message helps. I really get a good feeling around Easter, which I feel like, what is that? Is that this weekend? I just get this really good feeling. There's a tide that turns. So if Easter is at the end of March, then it starts turning after that, or if it's the beginning of April, wherever it is, that's where the energy starts to shift. It's going to be more, the reserves start to build up a little easier at this time, and we have a little bit more of like our energy back naturally. So I hope that helps right now. Please, 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 please focus in on keeping your own reserves up. And if that means you need to get away from computers and TVs and social media and just connect with nature, take a bath, do a hobby, really connect in with you. What do you need right now? How can I be here with you? And create that nourishing space where you can gently fill your cup back up, okay? And know that we're all going to be okay while you do that. We are all going to be okay, even if it feels like, you feel guilty or wrong. Let that go. Nope, I'm giving you permission. I give myself permission to just do this for yourself, so that when we get to the next part, we got more energy to keep climbing up this beautiful mountain of energy, okay? So until then, I'm sending you a lot of love, sending you a lot of soft, warm energy, and I will see you next week. Mwah. Bye. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.